Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Between the Benches. Fully in studio, fully ready for playoffs. It's here, we're here, in person, and we are ready. Right, Jake?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This is an ongoing process, like I say every episode now for the last 3 or 4 episodes, is our stuff that goes on Twitch and on YouTube is an ongoing production. You know, we're making progress every time.
What he's saying is he forgot to set up the second camera.
What I'm saying is I don't have it yet. So, and even then, we have to figure that out. But nonetheless, we're coming to you like this today. One camera, and in studio together for the first time since it's been a little bit. So,
Start of the year.
yeah. Start of the season, I guess, really. So, we're here and we're ready. You could always follow us on Instagram at Between the Benches JD, and if you're only listening to us, it is on YouTube at JD Network. We are the only content on the JD Network at the moment on YouTube. So yeah, and today's whole subject is playoffs. It's what we've all been waiting for. It's where me and Jake hit our just absolute full strides, and we're just here to talk playoff hockey. We're here to preview every single series. Saturday, the Capitals play the Bruins. And then Sunday, we have 3 more series starting up. Monday, there's a couple more starting up. And Wednesday, Thursday.
Canada decides to join the party.
Yeah, so we're here and we're ready and just right in time. We haven't had much of a notice, thanks NHL. So it is
Second year in a row.
Yeah, just
making our lives really easy.
Right on our toes the whole time. So let's get right down into it. We're going to start with Canada. And then we're going to work our way down from there. So let's go right into this Leaf series. Jake, what do we got?
Well, say hello to all of the media attention that there will be for the entire first round. Just focus to this. Because whenever it's in a normal season, if Montreal and Toronto played each other, this year someone was guaranteed in Canada to play them. That was going to be the story, no matter what. So it probably won't be that way in America as much, but be prepared to be browbeat by it. But I mean, like it's a big deal. It's the first time I think since the 70s, 80s that they
79, I think.
Yeah. That they've met in the playoffs. And I mean, Montreal took it to them this year. Handedly. They were 7-2-1 in the games that they played, in the 7-3 because overtime doesn't matter anymore. It's the same thing.
It's true.
A loss is a loss now.
That's true.
But I mean, I'm interested to see who comes out of this division. 'Cause honestly, I don't think anybody in this division is that good. Like we talked up Montreal at the start of the year, and they came out and made us look smart for all of 10 games, and then totally overreacted and nosedived. So who knows who they are? I wish I could get the mulligan for game 1 just to see what team actually shows up. Do you agree on that one?
Yeah, no, I entirely agree on that one.
Because
we've seen like 10 shades of Montreal this season.
We've seen in a calendar year 4 different Montreals.
Yeah, 100%.
We've gone to from the average that were going to miss the playoffs last year to the juggernaut playoff team to the not quite as juggernaut start of the season to how are they still here?
And then losing a coach along the way.
So, I mean, injuries have not been favorable in that regard, but, I mean, look at all the bad teams in this division that you could have just beat up on and been like the Leafs and just absolutely kick them up and down the ice. But you weren't, so now you're going to play them round 1, and you better hope that you got everybody back, because you're going to need the defensive players like Philip Deneau, who probably won't play the first couple games.
Why is that, injury?
He got a concussion one of the last games of the season. I don't even see what happened.
Yeah.
Like, nobody can figure out what hit it was or where it happened. Gallagher, I think, is supposed to be back. And Price. Which, kind of like the Stars there. Like, you get guys back, but you're losing another big piece.
Yep.
I really don't know who could win this. Because, the Leafs are the Leafs. So you never, everything so far, just throw that out. Because it's a whole different season now. And Montreal, you have all the pieces you need to go deep. But yet you decide, you just don't seem to want to play up to that.
Yeah, I agree. It's like we don't know how game one's going to go. Montreal has... I think Montreal, and this is what we flew on in the beginning of the season, Montreal's roster has potential to be fantastic. But they have certainly not performed that way for much of the year. But this is playoff time. I mean, it's so much different when it comes to playoffs. We've seen bad teams play extremely well in the playoffs. We've seen just teams just get into full form. And the Maple Leafs we've seen completely blow it in the playoffs as of recently. So I don't know. If we see a regular season Toronto versus a regular season Montreal, if it's the teams that we've been watching, I think it's Maple Leafs.
The Montreal from last playoffs,
yes,
they're winning in a sweep.
Yeah,
they will, because nobody. Because one, they play kind of like Boston when they're doing that. Two, nobody on Toronto is going to really keep them off the front of the net and keep them out of the corners. They're a little bit better this year, but again, you're not going to, especially with the back end that Montreal has with Weber, Sherratt, Kulak, Edmonton. They're all mean. Mm-hmm. They're all going to punish you throughout a 7-game series. They really should be like Boston, but they just haven't been.
Yeah, correct. Honestly, and that's the whole thing. Is what do we see in the playoffs? Because we could see a team like that. Or if we see anything like the regular season, it's just not going to end up that well.
I won't be surprised if after Thursday that everyone goes collectively, wow, where has this team been?
Yep.
I won't be surprised because that's what they should be. I thought Montreal would have this division in a walk compared to the teams that are in this division. It was Toronto who did it. And it just, do they take the step?
Yeah.
I think they have the pieces up front to, with the skill level they have, they can beat Carey Price clean, even though he's Carey Price. But it's always the age-old story. Will those players commit to playing the full game that's required to win?
Yeah, it's. I know we've seen teams play each other as much as a full series this season, but they're not back-to-back games, and I think that's another factor. If the longer Montreal takes the Leafs into the series, the more in favor for Montreal it's going to be.
I think that's every team who plays the Leafs.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That's how every series with the Leafs go. The longer they can just
grind on the Leafs, the more and more the better chance they have of beating them, because it'll just, they're not mentally strong. That's been their problem.
Yeah.
Especially if they start to blow a lead in Game 7.
Yeah, what do you got for the series?
I want to pick Montreal so badly. I think because looking at the teams, they're equipped to win.
Yes, that's the whole thing. Yep.
But that's been the whole season. So I'm going to say the Leafs win it, and it just feels wrong to say anything other than 7.
Yeah. I have the Leafs in 7 as well. Jason has the Leafs in 6.
That's bold. Just because it doesn't go to 7.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not 7 games is bold.
So, that's what we got. Just because looking at these two teams and what we've seen this season, it's hard to pick Montreal. But they have the potential to make this a real series.
They have potential to run away with this series.
Yeah. So I think that wraps it up for that one, really.
I'll just start repeating myself.
All right, other Canadian series. We have Edmonton versus Winnipeg. I think this is... I don't know. I'm going to say something about this series, and I'm going to say, it's the same as the other series. What do you think about this series?
I want to watch this one so much more, but they're going to all be on at like 10 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. It's... Edmonton without Connor will not win. It's been it's well documented and we've said it a bunch. So it's going to come down to the same thing that was their series with Chicago that they weren't able to do. All it takes is just one guy or a matchup that you like, whether it's whomever forward, Dubois, Stastny, Scheifele, and probably a defenseman stapled to Connor every change. And if they can take him out of the series, you got a good shot, especially with Hellebuck in net.
Yes, 100%.
I guess the Jets are not the best team in this division. But all you have to do to beat Edmonton is take one guy out. I mean, it's sad with the amount of talent that they do now have. But with someone who's not named Connor or Leon, only has 30 points if you're a forward.
Yep. Me and Jake were looking at the charts before of Connor's, of the offense when Connor's on the ice and the offense when he's not on the ice, and it's just night and day. I mean, it really is unreal. You're looking at the best in the league and then the worst in the league. And it's...
Edmonton having crazy splits.
Yeah.
Who would ever known?
Now, you said, Winnipeg's not the best in this division, but I do think they are one of the best equipped to face Connor and Edmonton in this division. I do really think they have the forwards. I think they have just the guys that can play on Connor better than most of this division. And that's what it comes down to, because you and I were shocked last year. Like, that was one of our biggest parts, our biggest things.
I think a lot of people were.
Oh, 100%.
That old playoff Jonathan Toews came out of nowhere and was able to shut down not only Connor, but Leon, too.
Yeah.
When they were apart.
Yep.
He did it by himself.
Yep. And a little bit of Duncan Keith, which was just as shocking.
Yeah, even more shocking. Which is the problem, because that should not happen.
Yeah, correct.
I don't care what era Blackhawks Jonathan Toews is. That guy should not be able to single-handedly shut down Connor.
Yep. So if we could see Jonathan Toews in 2020 shut down Connor McDavid, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's still possible for Winnipeg. So.
Just take whomever you want that can play defense that you think, plus a forward, whichever center, even winger, because I guess they're playing Stastny at wing and committed to that. And just say follow him around.
Yeah. Yep.
And then just try and outscore Leon. Because Leon, really solid player, not the best defensively.
No, we saw that last year against Chicago.
So, and you have the goaltender.
That's the whole thing. Is Chicago somehow in 2020 decisively beat Edmonton and decisively shut down Connor McDavid? Winnipeg is, I think, more of a playoff team than Chicago was, and they have the goalie, where Chicago, I don't even know who they were rolling with as goalie last year. Was it Crawford? No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, 2020 Crawford's a different story. But Connor Hellebuck just won Vezina last year. I mean, the dude's still unreal. Defense in front of him's not the same, but you got to think, if Chicago could decisively beat the Oilers, I think Winnipeg could at least put up a fight. So.
And for the part that we're overlooking here, the possibility of playoff Mike Smith. If he is half of the guy that had that Arizona run, I think they could win maybe 2 games without Connor.
He could win 2 games.
He could win 2
He
games.
could steal 2 games without Connor. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it should not be as night and day without Connor, but it is.
Yep.
So.
And you just gotta come to terms with that.
Come to terms with that and say, Connor, they're going to staple the best options they have on you. That's how the playoffs work.
Yeah.
So maybe if they go with a third option and Nugent Hopkins comes up as a third line center, which is what they've been the dream scenario for years now, that's never happened. Maybe that takes the load off of McDavid and he can even have the checking on him and still win games. But he's just going to have to be him this year because, we've never seen a season like this without somebody named Mario or Wayne.
Yeah, correct.
So he knows that he has to be the guy at this point. I think that's evident by the season he's had.
Yeah.
So he's just got to keep it going. So as soon as that role that he's on right now of being a point per period ends, they're done. And it's sad because that man needs a cup.
What's your pick?
I don't think that they're going to be able to coach him out of a matchup. They didn't do it well last year, and they even leaned on Leon, who disappeared.
Yeah.
Jets in 6.
I have the Jets in 7, which actually scares me a little bit because the Game 7.
Game 7, you have the option of nuclear Connor.
Yeah.
But you also have
at any point in time
brick wall Hellebuck.
Yeah.
That's why Game 7s are fun.
Jason has Oilers in 7, so he's taking the nuclear decision, and I'm taking Brickwall Connor. So
both named Connor.
Both named. Look at that! I didn't even realize. So that really wraps up Canada for us, and we're certainly going to get way more into this when the Canadian teams actually play. We have a week until that happens, literally. So
thanks NHL once again.
So let's move on to an American series here. We're gonna head on over to the West, where we host the President's Trophy winners, which came down really, I guess, to the
last day of the season. Well, I guess not really last day of the season because it's going to go on all next week.
Yeah, but sort of the last day.
The last day that matters.
Yeah. And that was where Colorado effectively took the President's Trophy, which is something I really didn't see coming. I got that notification last night. I was 1, disappointed, and 2, shocked. I didn't.
Well, I was just, annoyed that they won the Wednesday game, so that we had to wait until the Thursday game to put together the prep for this division.
Yeah.
But they've been the odds-on favorite all year by the media and most of the public.
Yep.
I'd say most, because not this room.
No, not this. We've been riding a train called it ain't it Colorado, and they kind of stopped the train a little bit. So
I would love for old St. Louis to figure it out right now, but I don't think that's happening. Yeah.
This has been one of the more disappointing seasons I've ever seen as far as a sports franchise has gone. I mean, I just St. Louis, I have no answer for you. Like, I really, really thought that you guys would have a great season again. I thought this would really come down to, I think, all 3 of us had Colorado, Vegas, St. Louis?
We all had them third, unanimously.
We all had St. Louis 3. Yeah. I mean, we thought they would be the part of these 2 big teams in front, Colorado and Vegas. And we were wrong. It was Minnesota. But St. Louis wasn't even in the conversation. There's a gigantic gap between these top 3 teams and St. Louis. And then St. Louis, at points in time this season, were competing with the likes of San Jose and Arizona, and that's not them. And Yeah, like I said, I think it's one of the more disappointing seasons for a team I've ever watched.
Yeah, they better hope that they can just absolutely get to the smaller defensemen and catch some of the transition game. They're going the other way.
Yeah.
Because I'm done on Bennington. I think that in my mind that experiment,
Ship has sailed.
yeah, that ship sailed. He's not the guy who had that stretch run. He's more of the guy who was held out of the NHL for as long as he was.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have some of the big pieces at the moment. I mean, they have the pedigree to know how to do it. They play the right way. I don't like Arizona played the right way last year and they were just outmatched. And that's what I think is going to happen again. Like they can play solid both ends of the ice when they're playing at their best. But I mean, especially if they start calling penalties in this series, which you know they will cuz for whatever reason, the first round they just some series they keep the rule book, some of them they go to the correct playoff officiating, and it tends to. I've last year and the year before showed that they do call a bunch in whatever Colorado series is. So, I don't think they have really any answers, to be honest.
No, I think it's going to come down to that. I think maybe St. Louis can pull a game or two, but it seems just Colorado. The McKinnon train is way too strong for teams like this. We saw him roll over Arizona for an entire series.
And like now they don't have Pietrangelo, who would be the guy who can single-handedly take him out of the series.
Yep.
No one's gonna do it.
No. You just got to. I think the game that St. Louis has is they can maybe out physical Colorado a little bit and kind of grind it down, but we said the same thing about Arizona, and they did. We watched like 2 consecutive 7-0 games in a row.
Again, those were a lot of power plays.
Yeah, no, they were absolutely, but there's not enough answer on the St. Louis side. The three of us decisively went with Avalanche. Maybe Jason didn't go as decisive. He pulled them in 7, but me and Jake both said 6,
which was me reserving the possibility that St. Louis figured it out.
Yeah. But like I said, maybe St. Louis could take 2 games. That's as much as I got for St. Louis. It's honestly depressing. We sound depressed, and we are depressed about it.
One, because Colorado, don't like Colorado.
No, we're not on this Colorado's the best team in the league train, even though, yeah, I get it, they won President's Trophy, whatever.
And 2, we just like St. Louis.
We always have. We've always liked what this team's been made of. But that's that. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to I think, one of the most exciting series of the entire playoffs. I am extremely excited for Minnesota. It's Vegas versus Minnesota. We know exactly, 100% true what we're getting from Vegas. Nothing has ever changed from that. I mean, we got every single game they played this season. They've played to what Vegas does. I mean, it's just that's Vegas for you. Every single game they haven't wavered. They put on good defense. They have good goaltending, and they score the right amount of goals and get wins, and that's that. But Minnesota, man, Minnesota rolls. Minnesota has been rolling. Matt Zuccarello came back, and things clicked for Kaprizov, and it's just been nonstop rolling. We have yet to see teams just straight up be able to stop some of the offense that Minnesota can put out. This is going to be a tough series. I really do think it is. I think Minnesota is going to have a hard time keeping in with some of this playoff hockey, but I think.
No, I think they're back. I think
they're ready?
Their back end is built the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
Maybe not some of the best overall defensemen,
no.
But they definitely have the much better defensive core of the two, and that is including one with Pietrangelo in it.
You really think so, huh?
I mean, Suter, Dumba, Spurgeon, it's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think Alec Martinez is starting the series.
Oh, that's right.
Pacioretty's not starting the series, I don't think.
That's right. Vegas is coming into this with a couple injuries.
So, I think they can jump on him.
Yeah. And the thing about Minnesota is I think they have the better offense, to be honest, out of these two teams. I've watched Vegas struggle a little bit on offense in some games.
Yeah, they're not the depth team that they once were.
No. That they literally were year one.
When they went to the finals.
Yeah. But Minnesota is certainly not the deepest team either.
No, they have 0 centers.
And yet they have like 0 centers and all the centers. But just not like, yeah. But I think Minnesota, I think they have enough offense up front. I think their first 2 lines, I think Fiala, I think Kaprizov, I think Zuccarello, because the Zuccarello-Kaprizov line, the third part of that line doesn't matter. It's like you plug and play with that line. But Fiala, Greenway, those guys have had great seasons. I think they can do it. I think they could do just enough. But other than that, yeah, it's going to come down to goaltending, I think, a lot on the Vegas side. And that's one of the strongest points of Vegas is their goaltending. So that really can take over a little bit. But we've also seen Ken Talbot play extremely well this season. Well, shockingly.
I mean, that's if you even go with him.
Yeah, and you really don't need to. That's true as well. Because who is that? Capo Kakinen, right?
Yep.
Great season. So goaltending on both sides, there's a duo. They've both done very well for themselves. I think Minnesota just has to stay on offense this whole series, and they have to be able to put shots on net. And they've played great games even when they haven't got that many shots.
If they can play kind of Islanders style hockey, or if they just take every mistake in transition,
yes,
and put it in the back of the net,
yes,
they're gonna win.
Absolutely. Actually, how about this? I say if they can capitalize on those mistakes, period. I mean, you said if they can get it into the back of the net, but I've seen this team effectively get the puck in the back of the net with limited shots.
Yeah.
They know how to put quality shots on net.
Play defensively and take their opportunities.
Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to.
Playing your strengths. You got 3, 4 high caliber offensive players who can take it in transition at any time, and a strong back end.
Yep.
Protect maybe the best goaltender in Cam Talbot, but protect them with the strong defense, and then take all of your opportunities in transition, and just don't miss them.
I think Minnesota is like the bare minimum for a playoff capable team. I think they have like just what it takes to be like an effective playoff team, and no deeper than that, but I do think they have enough.
Yeah, because I look in their roster and it's not. I would love Montreal's much more. But which team has done better in a stronger division, sort of.
Yeah.
The California teams stink. But look at the top teams. Like Vegas could have won the Presidents.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado won the Presidents. You also had San Jose, who kind of hung around most of the year. Arizona, who is a hard team to play against.
Yes.
Certainly not Calgary and Vancouver, or even Ottawa.
Yep.
And they were handedly in the playoff race all year.
And Minnesota's stuck with these. I mean, you think about that. Vegas and Colorado were head-to-head for the President's Trophy. Actually, they both ended with the same amount of points, 82 points on the season, right?
Yeah.
Minnesota stuck with them all season.
They were like one win from being in the mix of the last day of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, like Minnesota, they certainly have stayed with two of the strongest teams in the league. And they've won games against both of these teams. And the last month and a half, Minnesota's been rolling through some tough teams as well. So I do think this series really, really, really could go either way. What do you got?
I gotta roll with the train. Minnesota in 6.
Yep. I have Minnesota in 7. I think that's going to be an exciting Game 7 if it comes to it. Jason has Knights in 6. I think any of those options are extremely possible.
He's fired.
He's fired. All right. Let's move on to a different division. Let's move on to the Central Division, another extremely competitive division. I mean, really, the next two are extremely competitive. But this team, I thought this team or this division had some heavy hitters in it. We're going to start with Carolina versus Nashville, which is a tale of a hot team right now, I think.
This is the biggest wild card series of all of them.
I agree, Jake. Yes. 100%.
Carolina, great all year. Coming in, probably, that's probably why the record was not the greatest at the end. Resting, they know they're in.
And they were holding the top spot in the league for a solid 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago.
Coasting in versus a team that had to fight for it the whole stretch.
Up until this past weekend.
Because we went through the schedules. They had no bad teams that they could just get some free points to make it in. They had to beat Carolina twice, Florida 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
And they did. Not only did they have to fight to get in, they have some of the biggest voodoo players in the league. I mean, they're going to probably go with Saros, but if you need Pecorine, who is the ultimate on-off switch, and that's in division with Bobrovsky in it.
Yep.
Playoff Rocco Grimaldi, which, no one outside of here probably gets that joke, but the one year, the last time the Nashville Predators were in the playoffs, Rocco Grimaldi scored 2 goals every game.
Yeah, in the playoffs. In the playoff series they had, Rocco Grimaldi was absolutely insane. Me and Jake made a point during the podcast to look at him. I mean, he was phenomenal out of nowhere. So if we could get some playoff Rocco in here, that'd be real nice for Nashville.
Plus, I like their defense much more than Carolina. Much more. So, I mean, they could do it. We see upsets every year. Do I think this is the one you want to run to Vegas for? Maybe not. But this could go any way, in my opinion.
I agree.
This could go from, honestly, I honestly believe it could go Nashville in 5 or Canes in 4. And any combination in between.
Yeah, I think Nashville is coming into this one of the, if not the hottest team in the league right now. They went from a place where everyone was decided on John Hines being fired. Everyone in the hockey community was absolutely...
Probably still should.
was absolutely decided on John Hines being the first coach of the season fired. That was just such a sure thing at one point in our lives. And now, I mean, they turned it around and made such a substantial difference, and it's a night and day difference of their first third of their season and the second 2/3 of their season. And they made it in the playoffs, and that's not a joke. They made it. They earned that spot legitimately. And they, like Jake said, they had to beat good teams in this division to get there. And they did legitimately beat those good teams, including Carolina. And they beat Carolina with an extremely dilapidated roster, right? I believe. They played just none of their defensemen in the last game they played against Carolina, and I think 5-0'd them.
I think both teams are resting, though.
Yeah, but I mean, still, you're shocked to see it. And then Saros. Saros is borderline Vezina candidate, no?
If you include half the year.
Yeah, but his numbers have been insane as of recent. Absolutely insane. One of the hottest goaltenders in the league. And that's it. Very well could come down to the whole you got hot at the right moment thing. And they could ride it right through into the series, and like Jake said, they could end up beating the Hurricanes decisively. The Hurricanes were pretty strong this season, and I think they wavered a little bit at the end. It could have been because of any kind of resting, but
I mean, I'll tell you, like, every series has its, like, defining factor of, like, if this happens, this team will win.
Oh, yeah.
This one, it's how well can Nashville play chip and chase?
Yep.
Or other way around. How well can Carolina play chip and chase on Nashville's defense? Because if they can't play chip and chase and they're just destroying the incoming forwards in the corners and getting the puck out, and Nashville's got a serious chance. Because that I don't think that blue line's letting many transition goals up. And that's been sort of what the MO of Carolina has been for the last 3-4 years. If they can't gain the blue line control and have to chip it in, and they're not getting that either, it's going to be pretty rough. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think... Here's the thing. Carolina has not, to me, their forward group has not been as decisive as it usually is to me. In the last couple of years, I thought Carolina's forward group was a stronger group. I thought what they did with the puck was decisively just strong, and they did it right. This year, I think it kind of is less consistent to me. I just don't see what I saw the last couple of years in Carolina as far as their forwards go and what they can do with the puck. So I don't know. I think this might be the right formula for Nashville to potentially do it. I really do. I think it's possible. And with that, I took Nashville in 6. It just spoke to me. I was trying to decide. Ask Jake. I took the longest to decide on that one. And I was just sitting there, and it was like I was trying to weigh the options between Carolina and Nashville, and something about Nashville in 6 just hit me, and I wrote it down, and I'm not gonna look back. So
Man, do I want to take Nashville? I really do. I've obviously talked myself into this quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
I just think they're, with how voodoo and just weird the Carolina goaltending has been this entire time.
It's not even something we've touched on, yeah. But you're right.
The entire, I don't even have to call it, stretch of seasons that they've had. I think they grab a Game 7. The Canes in 7.
That's fair. And then Jason went with your Canes in 5 part. So
the only option that isn't possible, the only one that's not possible is Nashville in 4. Every single other one is something I won't blame you for taking.
Yeah, Canes in 4, 5, 6, 7. Nashville in 5, 6, 7, 8.
8? Okay.
8. Sorry, I don't. Maybe if there was an 8th game, maybe Nashville could do it. All right. Next, we have Florida and Tampa Bay. This is a pretty wild series, I think. I think this is, on the interesting side, this is the first time they've ever met in the playoffs? Is that what that means? Yeah, right. The first time they've ever met in the playoffs, the two Florida teams. I don't really know how big of a rivalry there is between, because
except for this year, they've had some nasty games.
Yes, they have, especially down the stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think going into these games, they've had some injuries that they've caused towards each other.
Florida to Tampa.
Yeah, and Tampa to Florida. I know Palat threw a nasty cross-check, which was uncharacteristic of him, so there has to be some kind of tension there.
Oh, so here's the problem. Is I don't know if McDonough or Hedman will start the series.
Really?
Trying to find some information on the lines going into this.
I wish I read that. You wrote that right there. I wish I read that before I made my pick, but okay.
Because trying to find information on some lines was difficult with everybody resting.
Yeah.
A lot of teams picked up late injuries too.
Yes.
On like the last couple days.
Yep.
I mean, Florida's getting healthier. Like Hornquist's coming back.
And he's been effective for them this season. As much as I hate to admit it, because that's not a guy I like in this league. He's been effective.
He's a rat.
We all know it.
We all know
it, yeah. But it's been effective.
But not having two of the best defensemen in the entire league, possibly for game one, maybe two, is a big problem.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely going to have some sort of boost from having the master cap plan finally happen. But, if you didn't think that Kucherov or Stamkos were playing game one, you haven't been paying attention. That was the plan all year.
Yep.
Oh, no, I stubbed my toe. I can't play the whole season. Oh, look, you can add players now. But they're so good. Like, I know without Hedman, they're a whole different team because you do not lose your best defenseman and stay good.
Yeah.
You don't lose not only your best defenseman, but one of the other top 10 best defensemen and still be good. If we see any sort of good Bob, which I know that people have been dumping on him, and that maybe he might not even be their third. They might be their third best goalie at the moment. Bob.
There's something. It sounds like a religious thing. Good Bob. I don't know why that name.
Tampa could be in
laugh.
trouble. But then again, it's Tampa. It's Tampa freaking Bay, and they have absolutely gamed the whole system and built a super team that's now lasted in a couple years.
Yeah. And they, won the cup this past year. They are their most recent cup winners. And they still have basically the same roster. It's tough. We saw Braden Point last year, so they have such a forward group. It's insane. And I think...
But they won with defense last year.
They did win with defense last year, yeah. But I think with the resurgence of Kucherov and Stamkos into this roster, I think that could carry them through the games that they don't have one of these two defensemen. I think that could win them potentially a game one or a game two in the series where they do get their defenseman back eventually and they can finish out the series strong.
The problem is, I don't know if Barclay Goodrow is going to play this series either, and that's going to be important with how nasty I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be nasty. These teams have seen each other a lot, knowing that they were going to probably play each other.
Yeah.
So it's already built up some tension. And you know that I swear Bob's going to play this series, and you know he's going to steal at least one. That's just what he does.
But then we haven't even mentioned how good Vasilevsky's been this season either.
He's always good.
He's always good.
You take for granted how good Tampa has been.
Yeah, it's so wild. This is another wild card series. I think. I don't think it's not nearly as big as the Nashville one. The factors just. But I think how about this? I think Tampa Bay comes out of this series no matter what. It's just in how many games. Can you agree with that? Or you think Florida can take away the series? That would be one of the... I think that would be an even bigger shocker than Columbus.
It's only if how much time Hedman misses.
Yeah.
If Hedman misses a game, it's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
If he misses 3 games,
Sketchy.
It's sketchy.
Okay.
Because you know them, like, that was the whole point of why they got swept.
Yeah. Hedman had the concussion thing. He did not look... It was scary how weird he looked on the ice. Yeah. The decisions he was making was uncharacteristically bad of him. Yeah, you're right. That's a fair point.
With all of that, I think they both only miss one game.
Okay.
And a lot of these I've seen go to 6, to be honest. A lot of these series are pretty even. And I think this one's also Tampa in 6.
All right. Me and Jason took Tampa in 5. I made that decision before the Victor Hedman McDonough news thing brought to me.
But dude, they're so good that they could honestly just come out in those games they're not playing and just blow the doors off.
That's what I'm saying. I gotta hope that they do, and I could see that happening easy. All right, that wraps up that division, and let's move east. East Division. We have Pittsburgh versus Islanders, and I'm gonna come right out. Let's because I think this might be the biggest factor, and I think it's gonna lead us right in. I'm going to come right out and say I chose the Penguins in 4. I think this is the only time I've made a sweep prediction in our playoff hockey previews. I don't think either of us have, right?
No, I've called sweeps.
You have? Oh,
Not
I
this
think
year.
last year you did.
Not this year, I haven't. There's always one. I always pick one to be a sweep every year. I didn't. And without us even talking, I said if there's any that I could see be a sweep, it's this one.
And I had already written it down.
And you had already written.
So we're on the same page, and there's one reason why. Actually, there's more than one reason why.
There's a lot of reasons why.
There's 2 for me. It's one is Crosby against the Islanders has historically been... He's been the owner of the Islanders historically in his career. 2 that I'll talk about more. Jake can talk about that more. But I will talk about more about how the Islanders have been... They're I think, the coldest team in this playoffs. I think they are the absolute coldest team coming into the playoffs. They lost...
For the second year in a row.
Correct. But they played decent last year's playoffs.
Well, because of the break. They got Pelech back from injury. They got Pelech back from injury.
That's true. Okay, yeah, I know another reason you're thinking of, but I'll keep talking about this. The Islanders played last week or something, some week recently at the end of the season here. They played Buffalo twice and lost both games. Then they played the Devils next, lost that game. 2 of the worst teams in the league, hands down. I would say
the Devils are worse at this point. At that point when they lost the games,
yeah.
The Devils are way worse.
I agree. 2 of the worst 2 teams in the league, easily. And the Islanders, the New York Islanders, that were so decisively in first place at one point a month ago, have been blowing it. They blew this all the way down to the 4th spot from the 1st spot. And it's been just ugly.
Well, that's the Metro in general, too.
Well, that's true. You could shuffle those around pretty quickly.
Like, that they always stay within 2 points of each other.
Yeah. But nonetheless, the Islanders, dude, were just dropping the ball in this past half a month. Real bad. Like we have not seen in the past couple of years, I think, since Trotz has been coach. I don't think we've seen a worse stretch of games for the Islanders. And then now they have the playoffs. And now they have Crosby, who owns them. And this is a Pittsburgh team that I think is reasonably hot right now. I think this is a very, very rough series for the Islanders. I think if the Islanders were to win the series, it's going to be in 7. It's going to be grueling, which is usually how it goes for the team playing the Islanders. And I think their playoffs are over, to be honest, before they begin.
So, this is the rematch from the last normal season, when the Islanders swept the Penguins. But here's the thing. This year's Penguins are much, 1, better, 2, better equipped to play the Islanders.
Yeah.
They have added speed to match. They've added speed that can check, because I believe Tanev's coming back.
Yeah, I think he's been practicing like full force. I think he's ready.
I think he was expected to make his. He was not going to play the last couple as more precaution.
Yeah.
And then he's going to all full force game 1.
That sounds right.
Matheson, back. I mean, he got hurt late, but he's going to play. Got a puck to the face, I think. Like, they're coming in healthy. The Islanders have shown they are a team that cannot withstand one injury. Like, when Pelech got hurt in the middle of last season, they went on the biggest nosedive of almost any team last year. They got saved by the break and got healthy and then went on the run they did. From the moment that Anders Lee got hurt, they have been a bad hockey team. From literally that moment. Besides the fact that Crosby historically kills them, I just think that they are this Penguins team is really good. They're fast, they're chippy, they can defend at times. Like, the defense couldn't go kind of stupid. But Cody Cece's been decent this year. Like, of all the people you're going to make fun of, like, they've been good. And, they have both Sid, Malkin. They added a player, because they had lost some of that identity that won them the Cups, which was speed and, that touch of death scoring, where it could be, in their zone for a while, trying to struggle to get a goal against them, and then all of a sudden they're just right down the ice and they score.
Yeah.
That's what's won them game. That's what's won them cups. That's what's made them who they are. And someone like Kasperi Kapanen just adds to that. He's the fastest. I think he's the fastest straight line player in the NHL. Connor, he can't do the things Connor can do at speed.
No, but straight up speed.
But getting the puck out of the zone faster than anybody, I'll take that guy. One team's really good, one team's playing like garbage, and I think they better rely on the fact that they might have the better goalies. And I say might.
I've never heard you say a team's been playing like garbage that bluntly before on the podcast.
I don't understand why this team can't withstand one injury.
Yeah.
They also went out and got Palmieri and Zajac and all.
It's like they have such a fragile system. Like you touch it.
How many times have we said that they are a team that needs things to go perfect for them?
Yeah.
Like, every person in this system has their role, and it seems like if one's missing, the whole thing collapses on itself.
Yep.
I don't get why that is.
It's like a computer, dude. Like, a speck of dust lands in the wrong spot on this team, and it's just it breaks apart.
Because, you need to withstand they had relatively no injuries in the playoffs last year.
Correct.
That was one of those weird.
And if they did, it was like a 1-game thing, and they were back, and
it was the worst injuries they had was Boychuk came back and then got hurt again.
Yeah.
They've been blessed when it comes to injuries in playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
You now didn't get the break that you got last year to get players healthy. Anders Lee's not coming back.
And he was a big part of last year's playoffs, Anders Lee. So. And
a lot of it was just in front of the net, taking the eyes away.
Exactly.
If anything else.
Yeah.
So it's going to be on Barzal, who I don't like him in either of the zones. He's great in transition, but facilitating an offense on his own or playing any defense at all, I do not like him doing.
Against the Penguins, it's going to be rough, too.
It's Lee who gets the pucks out of the corner and gives them back to him.
Yep. You have what?
I have Pens in 5.
Yep. So does Jason. We all decisively picked Penguins in 5 or less. So I really see this series going one way. And like I said, I think the Islanders' season is over before it began.
The only thing is the fact that Trotz has seen this team repeatedly over the years.
He's only got it done once, though. That's sad to say, but he's only... Well, no.
I'm just trying to...
He did it with the Islanders.
I'm trying to think in and play devil's advocate here, but like, because we all picked them handedly win, so obviously there is some sort of something's being lost in translation here. Something's being missed because it can't be as one-sided as it is.
No,
Nothing ever is.
Nothing ever is in the playoffs. Absolutely, you're right. It's just the Islanders are going to have to work very hard, I think, to, one, change the momentum of their season because, like I said, they're so cold right now, it's unreal.
I think Tanev and Kapanen alone are like the perfect weapons to beat this Islanders team. And then, Jankowski plays very similar too.
Yeah. And this is without Crosby being the owner of the Islanders anyway.
Yeah, I just don't see...
But that's inevitable.
I don't see the option besides stealing every game with your goaltender. Which, I mean, is Trotz hockey, but...
And then we have the final series of our playoffs. I think a good one at that. I think one of the most...
Well, you want to read what the first bullet point I wrote on it?
Oh, my sentence isn't over.
Yeah.
I think one of the most playoff hockey, stereotypical, like, capable series in this entire playoffs. And that is the Boston Bruins versus the Washington Capitals. A Washington Capitals team, by the way, with a head coach. Unlike the last two seasons. The last two seasons, we've seen a Washington Capitals team that hasn't showed up in the playoffs. It's a coaching thing. I promise you. But yeah, dude, these are two extremely physical teams. In the playoffs, everything they've gotten done historically in the playoffs have become because of how physical they can play these series. What they can do with offense and defense and goaltending, along with playing that playoff hockey effectively in the corners, forechecking, backchecking, everything. These two teams were made to make a great series against each other.
So, maybe you can tell me more than anybody else could.
Yes.
What is the Capitals' health situation going into this playoff?
I was hoping you weren't going to ask me that. Yeah, it's
got to be the question, right? Like
that's got to be the question, right? Yeah. So Ovechkin's healthy again.
Okay.
He is playing. We have Ovechkin. All right, because there's quite a number of players that.
I would like some answers because I couldn't find any.
TJ Oshie should be ready.
All right.
And if he's not, we're talking game 2, probably, maybe game 3. And I will say this. The top goal scorer in this series in the season for the Caps against the Bruins was TJ Oshie decisively. So kind of need that. Top point getter Backstrom, no problem. He's healthy. Wilson will be healthy.
Carlson,
healthy.
All right, then never mind.
We held him out for precautionary reasons.
And the only other one I remember was Kuznetsov was on a COVID list.
And Samsonov, but I don't think we're starting Samsonov, and I am so okay with that.
VTech, all the way.
All the way VTech. I think Chara took a little bit, but I think he stayed out of the game last game against them because of precautionary stuff. But we have defensemen. Oh! And we have Michael Kempney. And we have a healthy...
But wait, he was on a conditioning stint. That doesn't mean he's actually going to play any games.
No, he was on a conditioning stint just for the end of the season so that he can play in the playoffs. Like, he was on... That was our version of, like, here, jump on the ice for a little bit, and you're here.
He hasn't played in over a year.
No, you're right. He hasn't.
Can't expect that 2 AHL games is enough tune-up.
You're right, but I'm
playing
saying...
the Boston Bruins in the playoffs.
If we do need a defenseman at any point in this series, that's a nice guy to have on the back burner. And we've been playing with TVR, and Laviolette loves him, and he's been playing reasonably good as well.
I also expect Laviolette to be able to get the old Michael Kempney back that Reardon apparently couldn't do.
I would love nothing.
No player has
more.
taken a nosedive under just a coaching change than Michael Kempney.
It's unreal because Jonas Siegenthaler was the answer. That's why. I don't know how he's not on the Penguins right now, but okay, whatever.
What?
Because Todd Reirden works for the Penguins now.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised he didn't take him with him.
Yeah, that was a single-handed decision. I'm like, besides watching the team not respond to Reirden at all, I'm like, yeah.
He hated Michael Kempny for no reason.
This guy ain't it.
I was just like, he couldn't get Nick Jensen to do anything. Laviolette has Jensen doing things. I mean, it's wild.
It's crazy what a coach does, right?
It's insane. So, nonetheless, I think Kuznetsov might be the only player that I'm unsure of as far as injuries go and as far as playing goes. But that's because it's the COVID protocol list, and in the NHL, that's an unpredictable one, I guess. Especially for the Capitals this season. So, I don't know what his story is at the moment. He could be playing tomorrow for all I know. But nonetheless, Washington versus Boston. I mean, if Washington has their full roster, this is going to be a freaking series. Yeah, I don't know. Boston's pretty healthy, right?
Oh, yeah, they're fully healthy.
Oh, except for Carlo.
Nope, he's playing.
Oh, he's playing?
He's been back for a while now.
See, I thought he was. Okay.
Yeah, Jason's just an idiot. I was going to say something, but...
Jason said he's not. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we were already roasting him enough that day. I didn't want to just pile on.
Sounds about right. All right, well... I mean, I'm geared up for this series. I want to hear you talk, because I feel like I have talked a bunch about them, and I haven't talked anything about them, so...
So, like, I don't know if it's just because of all the sample with, not having a full roster for most of the season with Boston, but they've played a lot of reserve collapse net defense, which is, I believe, now looking at it, why they have had little to no depth scoring until Hall.
I was going to say, well, Hall's playing
second line
with
Krejci.
Well, remember Krejci last playoffs?
Krejci is always a good... This is why Boston is who they are.
Yeah.
Is because they might not have some of the best players when it comes to the regular season stats and, all the fun stuff that people rant and rave about, Leafs. But when it comes down to the playoffs, they have guys who just know how to do the things to win.
Yep.
Always. And we've seen it time and time again. Those teams win in the playoffs. Blackhawks last year did all the right things. That's what the Bruins always do. The only thing I'm interested to really see, and besides the fact that, can they really match? Because I like this Washington roster. Is the Bruins without Chara in the playoffs is a huge, huge piece. Because that's just a guy, he's not the same player he once was, but all of the extra game within the game stuff that happens in the playoffs, Chara is the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
The best at it. Plus, if there was any matchups to be played, Bergeron, Chara, you knew were stapled on that line, and they were not doing a damn thing.
Yeah.
That was always the reason for the success. The top players on whatever team it was were done. You're out of the series. Point blank. Now it's going to be on Bergeron to do it alone. Can he alone take out, whoever center you play with Ovechkin, because they do shuffle that, right? Every once in a while.
Yeah, we've seen Lars Eller play first line, who did a great job because he's a face-off taker and he does the little things. And Backstrom's Backstrom, and Kuznetsov's Kuznetsov. I mean, there's two different play styles, but they've meshed well with Ovechkin no matter what.
And but then this Washington team is super deep. Super deep.
Super deep, dude. That's the biggest advantage I think Washington has over Boston is we've seen such a lack of depth scoring from Boston, whereas Washington, it's been nothing but.
Yeah, and they protect the net, and it has caused their scoring to suffer. But then again, more defensive styles tend to win out.
Yeah.
I really like this Washington roster, top to bottom. Great balance in the roster.
Laviolette has really found, and thank God.
Plus the coach is just.
That's it.
He's one of my favorite coaches in the league.
Laviolette has really found like his dudes within the roster. It hasn't been much of a go out and get other guys. I mean, while Connor Sheary is fantastic on this team. I mean, he's had one of the best seasons of his career this season.
And if I'm not mistaken, generally the Laviolette style is he finds the lines and pairings that work and sets it and forgets it.
Yeah, I mean Daniel Sprong, all over the lineup wherever we've needed him to replace people has been fantastic. The guy's like a goal scorer out of nowhere now. And then our fourth line does their duties that we've been missing for the last couple years because Reardon doesn't know what he's doing. This is the most capable Capitals team that we've seen since 2018.
So I didn't talk much when we did our playoff push episode on the Capitals because I was reserving a lot of the praise I was going to give to right now.
Oh yeah,
which is what this has been.
Yeah.
Because especially with so it comes down to the matchup here.
Yeah.
With how well I still like the Boston defense.
Yes.
Well, Charlie McAvoy is really good. Grizzly has been a really good pairing with him.
Yeah.
Carlo is one of my favorite defensemen. Maybe not one of the best overall, but I hold him in the same regard that I do with Ryan McDonough and just how they play. But Washington has so many lines that I like, and that's the thing. Like you can't shut them all down.
Yep.
I don't think Bergeron can. Bergeron might be able to take away Backstrom head to head with face-offs and such like that, the center duties, and therefore kind of make it harder on Ovechkin. But with Kuznetsov, if Kuznetsov is half of the guy what he was doing all the creative stuff at the goal line that won them the Penguins series from a couple years ago.
Yep.
I love it. That's the key. If he can just alone be that guy again, it's going to be problems.
And there goes my train of thought. Choo right away. I can't even.
Well, here I'll say this.
Yeah.
Both of these teams, because I think both of them have a run in them. Both of these teams want it wrapped up as fast as possible.
Correct.
Because both these teams are going to murder each other. They're going to murder each other.
Yeah. Trent Frederick.
Dude,
he's been waiting.
That dude has been a Bruin made in a lab.
Yeah, he's waiting for this series.
I mean, you don't like Trent Frederick. I love that guy.
No, I don't like him because
I love that.
I'm not going to like him after the series, and I know that.
I'm waiting for the first mic'd up, because the one against the Rangers, he just punked that whole team. Oh, man.
Oh, okay, this is what I was going to say. I think the Capitals' biggest opponent could be themselves. I think that it's stuff in our own heads as far as the Capitals go that will beat us the worst. I think that's what it comes down to for the Capitals.
I don't think that's as big as you think because it's not Reardon.
No, I know. Maybe it's that kind of thing.
I think they enjoy playing for Laviolette, like genuinely.
Oh, I agree. I really, really do think so too. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up just because the last 2 seasons the Caps have gone into the playoffs and just gone silent, absolutely silent, and you gotta hope that's not a trend for a team like this. You see that on Calgary; they have plenty of good players, and then they just go silent, and it's just really unfortunate. It's scary when teams do that in the playoffs. So you gotta hope the Caps break the trend. Laviolette is a whole new coach, and he is that good. So as far as Washington goes, if they could get a good start in this series, it's going to be a hell of a series. And Boston's just Boston, like you said. They're here. They play hockey. They play in the NHL to play in the playoffs, not the regular season. So
I have a curveball to throw you.
Oh, yeah,
I
okay.
just thought of.
Yeah. What's that?
Do you want to quickly do your first instinct on who's making it out of each division? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
who's making it
Yeah.
to their Final Fours?
I mean, you and I have the exact
Oh,
same in our own brackets, but yes. We'll do that in a second. We got to say these first, but yeah. You and I both have Washington in 7, which is
yeah.
a brutal
This
one.
series is going 7.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. What did I say too? I said that because I looked at Jason's. I was like, Jason at Boston in 6, and I immediately
How
looked at
could I
Jake.
brush over the time where I'm going to get to roast Jason once again? That kid's not having a good day today.
I immediately looked at Jake and I was like, dude, you play Boston in playoffs, you're going to 7,
You're going to 7 games.
hands down.
I can't remember the last first round they've had that didn't go 7.
Yeah. So, it's just if you're gonna beat Boston, it's gonna be in 7. Go Caps.
Also, Jason picked Bruins in 6 against the the better seed on a team for the Boston, who he didn't even have making the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
He didn't even have Boston making the playoffs.
That's true. That is
He didn't
true.
have Pittsburgh making the playoffs either. So
Who did he have make the playoffs? The Rangers
he had
and the Flyers.
Rangers and Flyers.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, good one. Thanks, Jason.
All right, so instinctual. We'll start from the East, work our way backwards. Out of the East, who do you think comes out of the East?
Washington.
I think if Washington makes it past Boston, this next one is a win on their part.
All right, knock wood right now. You know it's you. It's you in the second round. Relax.
Yeah, I know. And if it's most likely going to be against the Penguins, so. But we've actually no, we've done terrible against the Penguins this year.
Because they're really good.
Yeah.
They're really good.
And it's never gone well. But I would say Washington as well, right out of the East. Okay, Central. Nashville, Carolina, Tampa, Florida.
If Tampa makes it out of that first round, they are going the whole way in that division.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's so hard not to pick Tampa, dude. Because
I
then
think
Hedman and McDonough, and it's
if they make it out of this first round, they're going all the way to the Cup final. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win it, but if they make it out of that first round, they're going to the final.
West. Oh.
I think that miracle run for Minnesota's there, man. I think it's there.
I think it's either Avalanche or Minnesota. I don't think the Knights are gonna do it this year, but I gotta go with the Minnesota in the gut, dude. I've been saying it all season. That's been the train I've been conducting. All right, North.
All right, so this is the one where I kind of go off the board here.
Yeah.
So my picks are obviously the Jets and Leafs, and in the bracket, Dom and I had the same 4, and so I'm just going to spoil it. It's Winnipeg. But, I mean, that was just how the bracket worked out.
Yes.
That was me logically continuing what happened. My gut feeling is Montreal makes it out of this division.
You really think so, huh?
Something's telling me, because I hate all of the teams here, to be honest. They all have a fatal flaw.
Yes, correct.
Which I think the winners of all the other ones, well, Minnesota has a fatal flaw, but I think it's because they're going to benefit from other teams killing each other.
Yes. That's fair.
Edmonton, I don't see them doing it without McDavid, and
They're not a built playoff team, man.
Listen,
It sucks.
One guy has never carried a team all the way through.
Correct. This isn't basketball.
Winnipeg, they're not a good team. They're a goalie with some guys in front of them.
Even though I do think Winnipeg's kind of... Are they fit to face the Leafs?
They gave the Leafs some trouble.
Yeah, they did.
But no, the Leafs kind of just ran this division, to be honest.
Yep.
Because they're all not good. And none of them were really committed to playing strong defense, except for Montreal, who they handled.
Yes. I kind of think it's probably either the Leafs or Montreal, whoever wins that series.
Dude, if Montreal shows up, they're running that division.
Yeah, if.
And that's just my gut feeling is that.
Carey Price too.
Yeah.
It's just they made such an impact last year. That Montreal team did so well in the playoffs, and it was like hurtful.
They're just nasty. They're the best built to win the playoffs out of all four of them.
I agree, 100%. All right. Well, that wraps that up. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening very much. And it's right down into it. We are in the playoffs. By the time you listen to this, it is one of the days in the playoffs. So we're here. Me and Jake are ready. This was a good episode as far as just kind of... we kind of relaxed this episode. This episode was just kind of chill.
Because some of
talk
it wasn't able
hockey.
to be made until yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for listening, watching.
Hey, we got to tell them to join the bracket.
And you got to join the bracket challenge. Everyone does it every year, the bracket challenge on NHL.com or bracket challenge /NHL, whatever. Just, you look it up, you find it. All right? I'm not going to do that for you.
Yeah, it's JD Network.
And then, JD Network, right? That's the league name?
Yep.
Probably easy to find, I'm sure. Especially since this is short notice. There's probably not that many leagues. So you could join it. JD Network. Go on Instagram. We'll put it up on there too. And that's it. All right. Thank you, everyone. And it's playoff hockey time. Let's get ready.